This is lesson 7.1. Lesson 7.1 on taxes, specifically income taxes. So the learning goal, okay, make sure you write that down at the top of your paper. The learning goal is to express tax schedules algebraically and compute federal income tax using the tax table and tax schedules. Okay. Question for the class. Do your parents do taxes by themselves or do they hire someone? You guys know? Raise your hand if you know your parents do their taxes by themselves. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Raise your hand if you know that your parents pay someone to do the taxes for them. Okay. About how much do they charge to do your taxes, roughly? It depends on how many forms you have, but here's the thing. If you're doing your own taxes, let's say you're Kyla and you're working at CVS, and that's it. That's all you have. You just have a job at CVS. That's it. You don't have anything else. You don't own a house. You don't have any kids. You don't, nothing else. You probably can do it on your own and be fine. It's pretty straightforward. But if you wanted a professional to do it for you, just for that, you can expect to pay $100 just to have someone else do your taxes. Now, if you're a little bit more complex like me, that I have a family, I have a house and a mortgage and a car loan and things like that, then it's a little bit more complicated. I pay about $200 to have someone do my taxes. Also because I rent my condo to someone else, and that's also income tax. And some people are able to do it by themselves. The only bad part is that if you do it by yourself, you might be missing out on money that the government owes you, or you might be lying by mistake and the government is going to charge you for lying later on. So just be careful with that, okay? All right, so property taxes are collected based on the value of the property you own. If I have a house at the Gates, that means I'm rich, right? Is that where you live, Ben? Do you live at the Gates, Eastlake? You have a house there and another house somewhere else? Okay. Those houses are like millions of dollars, right? And the taxes that they pay are higher than the taxes that someone that lives in a condo pays. Okay. So based on the value of the property, the more money that your property is worth, the more you pay. Income tax, collected based on the amount of taxable income you earn. Okay, same thing. If you make a lot of money, you pay a lot of taxes. If you make very little money, you make very little taxes. Tax is the amount of money you must pay to the government. Anybody that's single is unmarried. But Mr. Cuevas, I have a boyfriend. Still, you're single in terms of the government. Okay, unless you are married, then they talk to you as single. So if you're working and you're going to file taxes, but you have a boyfriend, what should you put on your tax return? Single. Okay, just to make sure. Qualified widower. Okay, this is someone that was married the year that the spouse dies. And then for the next 2 years, if the taxpayer has qualifying dependents, they may use a qualified widower. This is for people that recently lost their spouse. No. They're just categorized differently because the income that the spouse made counts for them as well. So they just have to make sure that they file it correctly. So Ben, if you are married to somebody and they pass away and they made money that year, but then they died, when you file the taxes, you have to say you're a qualified widower because you still have to pay taxes on what the spouse made. You can't just be like, oh, she died, so she doesn't have to pay taxes. Does that make sense? Qualified widower is basically they just want to know if somebody died, if your spouse died, then you have to say that they died. You pay, they want to be accurate. You're still going to be responsible for, so anytime you're married, whatever your spouse does affects you. Okay, if your spouse makes a lot of money, then as a couple, you have to pay a lot of money. Yep. Yeah, if you're separated but still married, there's a lot of things and that's why you want to hire an attorney, because that's when a lot of people start doing things like, oh, I'm going to keep the house and I'm going to keep the car, and and you'll want to hire someone so that everything is fair. Exactly. Something about my wife and I bought my condominium before I got married, and then I got married, And then when I refinanced it, they asked me, should we put it under your name or both of your names? And then my wife said, both of our names. And then jokingly, I said, but I bought it before we got married. And then she's like, but we're married now. So everything that we own together. And I said, fine. Okay. What? Hey, if you're the prenup, if you are married, guys, you're in it for the long term, right? Now, if you don't trust that, if you want to protect yourself, like Ben is saying, get a prenup. It's basically an agreement that in the case, so basically before you get married, you have to say, if we get divorced, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of people don't do that because they're like, wait a second, like, you're going to make me sign a prenup. That means that you're thinking about divorcing me later on. A lot of people that are rich do prenups because they don't want the spouse to be in it only for the money, right? So that's kind of understandable in some sense. But so anyway, so my wife owns my house now, and I own her car. That's the only thing she came in with. She came with a car and a Chihuahua. That's what I inherited from her. Okay. Head of household is the person that's filing for certain unmarried taxpayers who support people in addition to themselves. So if you're head of household, it means that you are filing for yourself, for your spouse, and for any adult kids that are making money, but you still want them to be under your umbrella. Okay, I don't recommend that, guys. If you are making your own money, you should, and you're 18 or older, you should not marry. You should file as a single, not as a under someone else. Sales tax. Okay, whenever you buy something, taxable income is money that you make is only taxable if you're not using it for things like school, things like charity. So if I make $100,000 a year, technically I'm supposed to pay 25% of it in income taxes. But if I tell the government, hey, out of that $100,000, since I'm really, I believe in Jesus and everything, and I donated half of that to church. So I only made $50,000, and then 50,000 I gave to church. Then the government's going to say, okay, fine, we're only going to tax you on $50,000. So you're going to pay less taxes if you made a lot of donations. Do a lot of people lie? Yeah, a lot of people lie and say that they donated to church when they didn't. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a big controversy because if you get paid under the table, like let's say, Ben, I want you to mow my lawn, okay? Because you don't have papers, okay? And Ben, I'm gonna give you, you made, I don't know, $2,000 mowing my lawn. You don't pay taxes. You're right. You don't pay taxes, but you also don't get a lot of other benefits. Like if I fire you, you don't get unemployment. You don't get health insurance. You don't get a lot of other services, but you do. Yeah. What about them? Oh yeah. If you are a legal resident or a legal citizen or permanent resident or whatever, and you're crossing, you still pay taxes. You still pay income taxes. Yeah. If you're legally employed in the U.S., you're gonna pay taxes in the U.S. Yes. Yes. That's a good question. I'm not too familiar with it. Does anybody know that answer? How does it work with the military? Well, I think when you're active military, they give you like a stipend, right, or some money. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. Okay, I don't want to say something that's wrong. Does anybody know? Anybody have family that's in the military? Do you know if you pay taxes? I believe that you do, but it's a little bit different. Okay, Internal Revenue Service, also known as the what? IRS, that's who you pay the money to. Okay, that's the government agency responsible for collecting and enforcing the tax laws. Okay, if you don't do your taxes, the IRS is going to come for you and give you a penalty. You could even go to jail if you don't pay your tax. Married filing jointly, this is what I do because I'm married and my wife also works. So we are married and we're filing together. That means we're combining all the money that we make together and paying taxes on everything together. Married filing separate, it means that what it says. You're filing it separately. I'm married, but I'm filing it separately. Most of the time, it's better to file jointly because you get a little bit more money back from the government than if you do it separately. But you might want to do it separately. Some people are like very, very like, okay, your money's yours and my money's mine, and don't mess with my money, and you keep your money and I keep my money. My house is mine, the car is yours, you know? And they want to keep everything separate. So that might be one way of keeping everything separate. If you don't want your spouse to know how much you're making, etc. Okay, let's talk about the notes. Example one. Let me grab it. Anyway, so Ron is single. He is using an IRX tax form and calculates that his taxable income is 51,482. The instructions tell him to use this tax table to determine his taxes. Okay? How much does Ron have to pay in taxes? Important information. Is it important that he's single? Yeah, because that's going to determine if he's filing as a single man or as married. What if Ron has a girlfriend? Still single, okay? In terms of taxes. Okay. His taxable income is 51,482. So we have to look at the table and figure out where does this amount land. And I circled it for you. You see? 51,482 is right here. It's between 51,450 and 51,500. Okay? So do you agree that this number is in between these two? This is how you express it mathematically. Okay? Your taxable income is between those two. So because we're in between these two and he's single, how much is he going to pay? Anybody? 9,213. Yes, because he's single. So we are going in this column, and this is how much he makes. So we're going in that column. So where they intersect, that is his tax. 9,213. So if you're doing the tax, you're saving money, you have to use tables like this. Okay? Is that a lot of tax? Out of 51,000, he has to pay 9,000 back. It sounds like a lot, right? It's almost like 20%. Okay, that's it. That's pretty easy, right? Move on to the back. Maria and Don are married taxpayers filing a joint return. So they're filing jointly. Married, filing jointly. Between both of them together, they make 153,900. The IRS is giving them this table so that they can figure out their tax. Let's figure out their tax. Yeah. And if you pay if you pay for services like TurboTax or like the online ones, they have they do it for you. Like you're paying money, and then they just say how much did you make? You type in the number, you type in this number, and then they ask you, are you single or filing jointly? Filing jointly, and then they spit out the answer. I think if you don't know what you're doing, especially the first few times that you do it, it's worth it. But after you get the hang of it, you're like, oh, like I think I can figure out my own. Then it's might as well save money. Now, if you have a lot of businesses like you've been, like you have a lot of businesses and homes and rental incomes and stuff like that, you probably want to hire someone, and you can afford it anyway. But if you're poor and you want to save every penny you can, you might want to. If you're poor but smart, you can figure it out, right? If you're poor and you don't know how to do it, then you're screwed, right? You're gonna have to pay someone, or not pay your taxes and then get the IRS looking for you. Okay, let's see this one. 153,900. Um, is that over zero, but less than 16,000? No. Is what row am I in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're between 131 and 200, right? Right here. We are using this. Okay, how do we calculate this? You're gonna pay 25,550 plus 28%. You're going to pay $25,550 plus 28% of amount over 131,450. What does that mean? You're definitely going to pay $25,550, and then in addition to that, you're going to pay 28% of however money you made over this. So let's figure out how much money we made over 131,450. If we made 153,900 and we want to figure out how much we made beyond this, what do? How much extra money I made after this? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Subtract. So I have to take what I made and subtract this number to figure out how much extra I made. Okay. All right, let's do this. Can Ben and someone help her pass out calculators? Because we're gonna need our calculators today. And look I already did it. Yeah, or you can have the quarterback help you. Who's the quarterback? You want to help? Thank you. Okay, so 22,450. This is the amount over 131,450. Okay, so now what do? I'm gonna pay 25,550 plus 28%. How can I write that as a decimal? What's 28% as a decimal? 0.28 of the amount over 131,450. What is the amount over? This one, right? So this goes right here. 22,450. So go ahead and add 25,550 plus 0.28 parentheses 22,450. Okay. Add that and then write down your answer right here. If you're on the Google Meet, can you hear me okay? Let me know and I can try and adjust the settings. Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. Thank you. Do you guys have a printer at home? Google Meet students? Were you able to print this or no? So then just write it down. If I were you, I would write down example 2 and then write down the work. So that way, when you pick up the paper, you can transfer it over. Okay. Or you can do it digitally too. If you download it on your computer and then write with the digital pen. Okay. Let's see. Olivia, what did you get for this tax? 31,000? That sounds right. 31,000 what? 31,836. You guys agree with that? No? Did we get something different? Let me check the book. According to the book, sample 2, that is correct. 31,836. Oh, good job, Olivia. She's the one that got it. Okay, thank you. Good job to me. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. There you go. Hey, it keeps you busy, right? It goes faster that way. All right, the IRS includes this tax table for people that make over $100,000, like Ben, right? Taxpayers must use the tax worksheet Here is a portion of the worksheet for married taxpayers filing jointly. Calculate Maria and Don's using this worksheet. So you have the option of using the one that we use or this one. Okay. So which row am I going to use if we made 153,900? Row 1, row 2, row 3, or row 4? Row 1, we made 153,000. That is row 2, right? It's between 131 and 200,000. Okay, so how much money did we make? 153,900. Write that down in this second column. And then it says multiply A by B. What does that mean? Multiply this number times 0.28. Okay, so try that. Multiply 153,900 times 0.28 and write your answer right there. It should be like 40 something thousand. Is that right? 43,092. Can someone confirm if that's right? Yeah. And then subtract this number. You see? Subtract an amount. So we're going to take what we got and subtract 11 to 56. Write down your answer right there. Yeah, but so that's what So what did we get right here? Can you want to tell me since you're done? 30 what? I couldn't hear you. Oh, I thought you were done with the whole thing. Okay. So did you do this though? Did you do this minus that? What did you get? 31,836. Yes. So you get the same amount of tax with the two different worksheets. Okay. Now, which one was easier? I would argue that the second one was easier, right? Makes it tells you what to multiply and stuff like that. All right. The IRS provides these tables for you. The services that you pay for sometimes give you a little bit more help like this. Okay. So that is the example. Now, before we move on, I want to show you the application. Okay, so that's it for the note. Let's just take a quick preview of the applications, and then we're going to take our break. Okay. No, I said we're going to take a quick preview, and then we take our break. This is just like 1 more minute. Okay, so this is what you're going to work on for the rest of class. Okay, and you should be able to finish it in class. As long as you're working productively, you'll get credit for working on it in here. You can get a stamp if you finish it. If you don't finish it, but you're working productively, I'll allow you to turn it in by Friday. Determine the tax for each taxable amount. Okay, you don't have a table. You see, we don't have a table. So what do we have to do? These problems that you have on the applications are the same problems that you have on your. So if you look on your textbook, you have the tables right there. Okay, this is page 332 of your textbook. Page 332. So you're going to open your textbook. If you don't have your physical textbook, you can find it online on Google Classroom. Okay. At the very bottom of the classwork, it says textbook chapter 7. You open up to page 332 and you'll be able to see the tables there. And then you answer those 4 questions. Is this multiple choice? Like, is the right answer one of these 4? No, you have to do this 4 separate times. Okay. All right. Same thing for number 3, 4, and 5. You use the table on page 332. Look at the back. On the back side, I gave you a table, and you're going to answer each of these. And then same thing right here. Okay. I'm going to be working on an answer key. If you have a question, you can come up and ask me. I am going to ask you guys that you're working on this productively. Again, if I'm noticing that you're not working on this productively or you're doing something else, I'm going to make a note. Okay. We are going to take our break right now. Now, let me remind you, During our break, we have a few options. You can stay here and relax, talk to a friend, go on your phone. That's fine. You can stay here and continue working. You can step right by the door outside, and you can use the restroom or bathroom. If you ask me for permission, I'll allow only a couple at a time. Okay. Our break, it starts at 1:46. We're going to end at 1:51. At 1:51, we need to be back in our seats working. If you're not back at 1:51 in your seat working, I'm going to change the attendance to tardy, and you may not be able to take a break outside again. Fair enough? Okay. 1:51 we start. You can go. Abby and Josue, you guys, you need the other side again? Sorry. If you're good, then you're free to go. What side do you need? The front side? This one?
Yeah, no. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you're good to go, guys, you guys are allowed to log out, or you can stay logged in if you want to work on this as well. Okay.
Is it okay if I get the worksheet tomorrow? Like, Do you have another period?
Yes, this is going to be due on Friday, beginning of class. So if you forget it tomorrow, just make sure you have it ready by Friday, beginning of class.
Okay. Thank you.
Espera tantito porque el break va a acabar y ahorita que empecemos te dejo ir. All right, guys, break is ending. Okay. Luis, can you hold on a second? I'm going to give you the same pass as him. And then you don't have to take that one. Just take this one. And on your way back, go to the bathroom. Okay. What time is it? 1:50. Anybody else have that book? You don't have that book? I don't know. Did you? Well, look for it at home. If you can't find it, then go to the library on your own time. Right now, you can use the online thing. Take this one, and then you put the range right here. So like the one that's on the table, the smallest and then the biggest. Next one called the lower bound. The upper. Okay. Same thing. It has it in brackets. Okay? Upper bound goes here, the lower bound goes here, and you don't need it. Huh? Minimum day. Yes. Yes. You should use some of your extra money to get contacts or surgery.